Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be an interesting video, a little bit different than my normal style, but as I promised in layout update number 12, I'm going to take you through my process of building the vineyard here on the section of the layout between Himrod Junction and Penyan. Now this is something I've never done before, so I'm going to kind of take you through the process as I'm learning myself and kind of just, you guys can learn along with me. But let's get started. So as you can see, the area around the vineyard still needs a little bit of work itself as well. There's still some exposed pink foam in the back of the scene, and then the area along the hillside right over here, I want to bring down kind of the wild brushy look all the way to the bottom of the hill. So we'll work on that throughout the process of this build. I've got some stuff on the way in from Scenic Express to be able to work on that side of things. And you'll kind of probably see that progress throughout the course of this video because I'll be shooting it over the course of a couple of weeks, I'm guessing. But the first thing I want to do here is try to get an idea of how many armatures I'm going to need to build for the vines and how many rows of grapevines I'm going to need. So I'm going to go ahead and measure the space and probably do my calculations off camera because everybody knows on camera math just doesn't end well. But essentially we're going to measure, the vineyard's going to go from almost right at the static grass line, probably a little bit further over, and then kind of as I believe trapezoid is the name, it'll go diagonally this way along the hillside, and then it'll butt all the way up against the access road as well. So it's almost a triangular shape. There's a little bit of straightness here along the front edge, but that's going to be the shape we use. So, all right, guys. So this is the list of items that I'm anticipating needing for this project. Now, that's not to say that that's going to be the final amount of stuff that I end up using, but this is kind of where I'm at so far. Got a couple of different tools over here, just a pair of nippers, a paintbrush for brushing on Mod Podge, an X-Acto knife, some tweezers, an Atlas saw, some masking tape just in case I need to hold some stuff down. That's it as far as tools are concerned. Now, as far as other items on the table here, we've got some 3M Super 77 adhesive, we've got some super glue, we've got the Mod Podge, of course, and then as far as items for the vineyard itself, we've got a couple of different colors of paint here. This is a brown and a gray that I'm going to make a grain brown wash out of for the vine posts. And then we've got some tag wire here, this is what I'm going to be making the armatures out of. I've watched a couple of different videos of people making tree armatures, and I'm going to try to adapt that as best I can for making the vines. I watched a Boomer video, and then there's another gentleman that I watched his armature video as well that I'll try to use. So that's what's going to make up the main structure. And then along the top of the vines, there's, kind of a bloom. Well, not a bloom, but like pretty much it looks like a small tree. So I'm going to try to use some super tree material along the top of it. It will not be nearly as much as this, but that's what our foliage will be on. As far as the leaf material itself, we'll be using the super tree scale leaves, excuse me. I've got two different colors of green, some yellow, and some brown here. We're going to be, obviously my time period for the layout is fall, so I'm going to try to replicate a post-harvest looking vineyard as best I can with some leaves that are turning yellow. It seems like vineyards seem to turn yellow and red primarily we're basically, my goal is to try to make it look like it's just starting to turn. So it's mostly green with a little bit of yellow and a little bit of brown mixed in, but we'll see how that goes. But that's the list of material here, guys. I'm gonna get started on this and we'll see what happens next year. All right, so what I'm doing here is working on the fence posts for the trellis. I went ahead and went to Hobby Lobby and got the smallest size of wooden dowel that they had there. I believe it's about 1/16 of an inch. I created this little jig here out of styrene, and it's 1.5 inches long, so that every time that I'm cutting a piece of the dowel, I'm cutting it to the same exact length, and I don't have to worry about measuring it every single time. And then I've just taken the X-Acto knife and I'm kind of just whittling down the tips of it just so that it'll stick into the foam a little bit easier. And then I've got my wash here of gray-brown paint. It's just an acrylic, or excuse me, not an acrylic, a water-based wash that I'm dipping it in and then just sticking it in the foam here to dry and then repeating. All right, so I'm gonna quickly show you guys how it is that I'm making the armatures for the grape vines. This is a pretty simple process, and again, it's very similar to the process that a lot of different wire tree makers use. I'm just kind of adapting it to serve the purposes of a vineyard better. But basically all I'm doing is I'm taking some bead wire, and this is 3mm, which I think it's a pretty thin gauge, somewhere between like 26 and 34 gauge wire, so pretty thin. I've got a little piece of cardstock here, just a scrap dog toy tag that I've cut down to 2 inches. And then the reason for cutting it down to 2 inches is because you want the total, or you want the height to be about 1 inch, and then I want 1 inch of horizontal spread either way as well. So it seems to be working out well. So I'm just gonna keep wrapping around this little piece of cardstock here until I get to an amount of thickness that I think will work well. I think I want a little bit more here. That should be enough. I'm just going to cut it at the end of the cardstock. We're going to slide it off the cardstock. And then I have a little piece of basswood here that I've been sticking in the end of the bead wire here, if I can get it, of course. And once it's in the end of the bead wire, I can use this as kind of some assistance as a lever to twist things around. This is just so that my fingers don't get completely exhausted because they're already sore from the amount that I've done. But using this, I can kind of help to twist the wire around, and then I like to get up about 1 inch. Some of them vary just to get some variety in, but you twist it real tightly, get up about 1/2 inch, and then I'm going to take the wires here and divide them in half as best I can. So let's see here. Oh, we might have gone a little bit too far with our twisting. You can always untwist, which is pretty easy. So, all right, so now we've got them pretty much in half, right? And so I'm going to start twisting out either way on the branches. And then as I get out towards the end, I'm going to kind of just divide them a little bit more, just so that there's a little bit of variety. And then over here, I'm only going to twist a little bit, and then just to get a little bit of variety in, I'm going to divide them a little earlier back. I think I left this one a little thicker anyway. So, but again, you know, these are organics, so there's going to be a little bit of variety in all of them. I've kind of, you know, just searched Google images of vineyards and grapevines just to kind of get an idea of how it is that these grow. And it seems, you know, pretty straightforward. You know, they grow because of the trellis work in the vineyards. They grow pretty much just one way. They don't grow outside to side with the main portion of the vine. They do for, you know, all the foliage, but the main portion of the vine just follows right along the steel cabling for the most part, it seems like. But there we go. We've got that should work. I mean, it's a little more symmetrical than maybe I'd like it to be. So maybe I could fold this one down in half and then twist that up and make just a thick little knob, basically. And that'll work for that. And then once this is complete, we're going to take a little bit of Mod Podge, and this is how we start to build out the kind of trunk texture. It's probably going to take multiple coats, I would imagine, but I'll kind of just show you really quickly. You know, you're just brushing it on. And I like to be able to see, for the first coat, I like to be able to see, you know, not any sort of kind of thick points with the Mod Podge. I like to just see that I'm kind of filling in the low points on the wire, because we don't want it to look like wire when everything's said and done, right? We want it to kind of actually have the look of a vine. So we're at this point just filling in low points, and then we'll see what we can do with the next layer to kind of really smooth it out and make it look as if there's not much in the way of you know, wire poking through when we get to that point. But all right, so there we have it, guys. That's basically the process that I've been working on. I've got, you know, a couple of different styles. You know, I really like this one. This one's a little bit longer, but it's kind of fun because it kind of jaunts over to the side and then up, and you know. But I mean, it's organics, like I said, so you can kind of do things as you will, and it's all good fun. So, but anyway, I've got probably close to 200 more of these to make, so I'm just gonna get grinding here. All right, so we're working on the cabling now between the fence posts for all the trellises, and what I've got is some 32 gauge wire that's running in between each of the fence posts. We're going to do a series of 4 for the longest runs in the vineyard, and then it'll be like a diminishing amount as we go back on the angle. But we've got one of them already done here, and I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see the cabling or not, but you'll have to bear with me if you can't. But we'll do the second one here in line, just so that you can see how they're done. So basically, all we're going to do is take and actually I'm going to cut this real quick. All we're going to do is take the cabling, start by making a loop on the end, and then we'll run the loop over top of, actually I need to tighten it up just a little bit more. We'll run that over top of the fence post as soon as we get it tight enough here that it'll actually stay put. All right. then once it's on the fence post, we're going to take a little dab of super glue and just dab it on here to make sure that the wire stays in place. And then while that's drying, we're going to measure out the length of the cable itself. And this jig that I've got here is just, it's set up so that I can make sure that I'm doing a consistent length in between each of the posts every time. I find when you're doing work in bulk commodities, it's easier to set up a jig like this just so that you're getting a consistent measurement without actually having to measure every single time. But what we've done is wrapped it around the existing post here already, and then we're just going to cut with probably about 1/2 inch of extra cable there. Then we'll pop off the one that we've already secured to, and then we're going to make an additional loop on this side, keeping in mind where it is that we wrapped around the other pole, because that's our far point and we don't want to mess that up. So I'm just going to give this a couple of wraps real quick, and then we'll slide that over top of, actually we'll put this back in the jig, and then we'll slide this over top of the other side here. Okay, now that it's over the other side, take our glue, and first we'll make sure it's lined up so that it's actually going to be straight, and then we'll glue this side as well. And then with that now glued, we're going to pop out this side, swivel it over this way, pop our last fence post for the run in there, and then I'll just repeat the process. And this is what I'll be doing over and over again. All right, so here's the first little bit of work to the scene itself. We've got the plaster cloth down on the hill along the back side of the tracks here. Once this is dry, I literally just put it in so it's still wet. So once it's dry, I'll probably come back in with just another layer just to fill in some of those tiny holes and give it a little bit more rigidity. And then we'll get it painted brown and, you know, kind of start to work on making it look somewhat similar to this hillside with a bunch of trees and, you know, woods and stuff. There's a really cool scene in between Penyan and Himrod where the train or the tracks literally go underneath this giant tree tunnel, basically. And I want to try to replicate that as best I can on the back side of the tracks there. So hopefully it'll look pretty cool. so hopefully you guys are enjoying the time lapse here so far. Just figured I'd pop in and kind of explain what's going on here. I'm just finishing up the access road, spraying that down, and then after the plaster cloth had dried, came in with some tan paint to get a good base layer on the small hill behind the tracks, and then right after the paint goes down, I came in with the brown grout for the base layer of ground coloring. Once the grout was all down, I went over the top of it with a quick layer of isopropyl alcohol just to help soak it in and make sure it hardened nicely. And then we moved on to doing the static grass in the vineyard itself. Now, most vineyards seem to have pretty much bare dirt underneath all of the vines, but for some reason this vineyard that's right in between Himrod and Penyan is relatively overgrown, actually. So I'm coming in here with some 6mm static grass of a couple of different colors and just kind of trying to get a good blend in. And then once this is complete, this area is now ready for the vineyard trellises to start getting installed. So hopefully we'll be able to work on that next. All right, guys, so we've got the very first of all of the grapevines going in. I still need to make a ton more armatures, but I was too excited not to at least test something out before I move forward. So let me just kind of show you what we've got going on here. So this very back one, there's still some glue to dry, so you'll see a little bit of white, but that should go away once it's dry. This very back one's just 2 armatures, and then as we come out again, we're gonna kind of lengthen out the rows of grapevines, but 2 armatures on this back one. The tops of these are just woodland Scenic Express super tree material cut down, and then we've got some yellow, brown, and green leaves just to symbolize kind of late fall in a vineyard. So I'm really happy with how it turned out. Now it's just a matter of going row by row installing. I'm literally just putting the armatures in place, and then coming in, I built a well, didn't build, but I put together, this is just my test piece, but this is what I'm going to do going forward as well. I've been taking my tweezers, grabbing a little piece like this, cutting it off like this, and sorry, trying to do it one-handed here. Cutting it off like that, and then I'll just dunk it in a little bit of wood glue. And then once the armatures are already installed on the layout, coming in and just popping the foliage material on the top, basically. Well, there you have it, everybody. The vineyard scene is done. This project took a heck of a lot longer than it might have seemed. I've been working on this now, armature-wise, for about 2 weeks. Pretty much every evening, putting in, I don't know, probably 4 hours of work each evening on just building the armatures, because that's such a time-consuming process. Overall, we've got a total of 134 grapevine armatures on the scene, and then plenty of super tree material on top. The trellis work also did take a good amount of time as well, but I'm super happy with how it's all turned out. It's exactly what I had envisioned when I thought about building this scene to begin with. There's still a little bit of work to do in the background of the scene behind the locomotives. But I do need to get more super trees in before I'll be able to do that. So make sure that you're subscribed and on the lookout for future layout updates, because I'll be wrapping up the background of this scene throughout the next couple of months here, more than likely. But again, if you guys made it through this whole video, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed, and if you're not subscribed, make sure you do already, because we've got more fun stuff like this coming down the pipeline. And make sure you leave a like and comment and let me know what you think. Thanks, guys. Take care.